Hey guys, Peter Vekselman here with Jordan Edwards. Jordan, how are you?
Good.
Good to see you. It's funny, you're not here by choice, are you?
No.
He actually, it's so funny. We both came from the same location. We both came from Tampa. Tampa's under mandatory evacuation. By the time you listen to this, you're going to know if this was a false or not. So he came all up here. He's staying in Dahlonega, and this is where we do our podcasts every week. So we thought, hey, come on, let's talk. So I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, absolutely. The timing couldn't be better.
Perfect. So listen, this is what I want to talk to you about. This is very important. You know, one thing I've noticed about successful people, a lot of times you could just be talking to somebody and you know they're successful, right? Like if you talk to like maybe a top CEO, a top executive, you know, a top whatever in their field, you just kind of know this dude's got it going on. And I referenced that from a standpoint that success comes with certain traits.
Yeah.
You know, it's you know, you're not going to have a totally bumbling fool become a multimillionaire unless by accident, right?
Yeah.
Most people kind of grow into it. And so one of the things that I always tell people is part of being successful is this thing called self-development. There's certain things you got to get better at, certain traits you got to master. So you got to work on yourself, right?
Yeah.
You can't just work on the craft you're in. You got to also work on yourself. So it just so happens you happen to have a whole program about self-development. So for those people that maybe like don't even know what the heck is self-development, talk a little bit about just conceptually what is the whole process of self-development.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for me, well, first, Peter, I'm glad to be here, and I appreciate you having me on. But for me, personal development and self-development has always been about who are we? You know what I mean? A lot of people you end up going through, you have college, you get schooling, you get a job, you have, am I going to get the promotion? But who are you as the individual? Are you improving? And that's why with Edwards Consulting, we focus on 5 aspects of life. So it's mental health, physical health, community service philanthropy, spirituality, and relationships. And when you break it out that way, it allows you to kind of gauge yourself and see how you're doing. So you might be excelling in business, but then your relationships might dwindle, whatever that is. And I'm just saying that there's so many areas of life to excel in, and it's like, how do we do that? So some of the ways I did it was read books. It's who you surround yourself with. It's the podcasts we listen to. It's the disciplines we put ourselves through. So one of the other interesting activities I've done is, have you heard of 75 Hard before?
Have not.
Have not? It's Andy Frisella, Ed Milet, and what they did was they came up with this program called 75 Hard. Okay. And what it is it's no drinking for 75 days. You work out twice a day, one inside, one outside. You read 10 pages of a personal development book, and you drink a gallon of water, and you eat clean. And I did this for 75 days in the start of 2020, and when COVID hit, nothing changed. Because during the 75 days, I was still working out, I was still doing my thing. And when you put yourself on such a disciplined regimen, it helps exponentially.
You know, one of the things that I get asked, you know, and you just mentioned 5 areas, you know, health, spirituality, every the things that, you know, community, giving back. Is the goal to be balanced in those 5 areas? Is the goal to excel in one of these areas? Is the goal to just kind of pick out your 2 or 3 favorite? What's like your whole opinion about that? Does somebody want to find balance all the way through, like, the important things in life?
Yeah, so this is just my opinion. I think that we have different seasons in our life, right? Like right now, my season is I was just traveling. Me and my girlfriend, we went to Europe, came back, then we had to evacuate here. So we're just traveling. So during each of these seasons, and that might be a month, a year, a day, a week, whatever it is for you, there are areas that are going to excel, and there's some that are going to dwindle. This is more for you to take a screenshot each month or every 2 months or 3 months or 6 months, and it allows you to go, oh my God, my spirituality has decreased. How can I improve that? And the goal isn't to be like, hey, I'm the best in everything, but it's to work towards it on different fronts. That's the way I view it, because I've seen so many people excel financially, and then they might dwindle mentally because they might not be giving themselves the stuff they need. And when you give yourself the appropriate amount of space and you reflect, it allows you to really get to know yourself and move forward in the direction that you want to move.
So what I'm hearing you say, it's very much a personal discovery journey to a degree.
100%, yeah.
But having said that, so a lot of people that are going to be listening to this, we're very success minded.
Yeah.
If we were to niche it down into that, obviously I'm a real estate
guy,
investor, so you can even niche that down somewhat. So let's say somebody listening to this buys into everything, gets into everything. Will their real estate career also get better, or you would say these are really unrelated things? Will I become a better investor having all those things in line also?
100%. That's my view on it. When you're in total alignment and you're working out and you have a good mental fortitude and you're going to, like you were talking about, how you went to a mastermind, getting nuggets, you're open to these opportunities. You're receptive of these because a lot of the stuff we'll see today is people watch the news. And when they watch the news, you've been seeing it with the hurricane, it's traumatic, left and right. It's chaos, this, that. How can anyone do anything productive? And you're sitting here like, oh, well, I'm just going to come back and do a podcast. And I'm doing deals and I'm still doing stuff. So I think it's 100% correlated. I think where your mindset is indicates where you're going to go in your life, for sure.
I fully agree with that. Talk a little bit about, and I know you're going to know where I'm going with this. A lot of people, especially on the road to success, don't have the most positive things around them. Forget the TV. TV, at least you could shut off. It's very hard to shut off a spouse.
Yeah.
It's very hard to shut off a kid.
Yes.
Or, friends, relatives, and things like that. How do you deal with that? Let's say I want to be successful. I buy into everything you say, but I got a negative this, I got a negative that, and some people are just like, what? It ain't even worth it. How do you deal with negativity outside of something you could turn on and off like a TV, but actual real life people?
Yeah, I mean, so the first thing is definitely to protect yourself. And by protecting yourself, I mean maybe limiting time with certain individuals or because when you think about it, a lot of the time when we go and you might call your parents or you might call your child or whatever it is, and they're always hitting you with negative, you can try to repair that. But there's a component where it's you got to be good yourself and you have to be held accountable. And that's one of the biggest things I see is, like you were saying there, I'm blaming my spouse or I'm blaming my kid or I'm blaming that. It's all on you. You got to take accountability for the people around you, the way they're acting. And the thing is that if you're a powerful enough source, people will start to change their actions because they're around you.
Yeah, isn't that amazing how that stuff works?
It's incredible.
Yeah. One of the things that we talk about when you're going to be successful, it helps to emulate. Yes. I always tell people, align and emulate. Get around successful people in this. But let's say there's somebody watching this right now, and they're like, well, I can't afford your program, or I can't connect with you. And if somebody was just at home trying to get better in these areas, give them a kind of an overview how somebody could implement some of these things themselves.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, the way I would do it, if I was individual, have no resources, no anything, I would sit there and look at each of the categories, and I would go mental health. Who do I think that I know? It could be your Uncle Jimmy, it can be your friend, it could be someone who runs a podcast. Who's good at mental health that I want to emulate them? I would find their podcast. I would try to connect with them. And one of the big misconceptions that I see with mentors is people try to put a mentor and go, even yourself, Peter, they'll go, Peter's my real estate mentor. Does that mean Peter is now my trainer in the gym?
Right. Yep.
Maybe. I mean, Peter's in good shape, but is he the trainer in the gym? And the thing is, I've always found success is if you can align certain individuals with their best traits. So Peter's really good at real estate investing. So I would have him as a real estate mentor. I would have a trainer who I want to emulate as the trainer. I would have community service, someone who gives back a lot in philanthropy. I would view them. Or like spirituality, I have a rabbi, and he's my spiritual mentor. And these are not titles that we give them. It's just you have that relationship where it ebbs and flows, where it's, hey, this is what we do together.
Makes sense. And I think some people don't realize that they actually have people like that in their lives.
100%.
And we all have people. Doesn't have to be your best friend. Doesn't have to be somebody you live with and all this. Tell me this. Is there an end point to this? Like, for instance, there's a lot of things that have a starting point and a finishing point. Kind of like, okay, I got this far. I'm done. I'm on to something else.
Yeah.
Does something like this have an end point? Or is this something that is just a journey of a lifetime?
Yeah. I was actually talking to someone in my group about this. And what I realized is this is a journey. And there are going to be areas where you want your business to flourish. And then maybe you have the business you need and you like where it's at. And maybe you need to excel physically or you need to excel spiritually, whatever it is for you. But this is definitely a lifelong journey. And the way I view it is you level up each of those calibers, whatever that means to you. And one of the things I wanted to mention is when you have a mentor, the frequency of your meetings is also a big help because these are the positive influences in your life. So if you have someone like Peter as your real estate mentor, you're going to want to try to connect once a month, once a week, whatever it is to get that exposure and be around that.
You know, there's some things like when I teach real estate, I tell them, like for instance, me, I've done a lot of deals.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to change this light bulb. Like literally, if somebody would have said, you could change the light bulb, well, my answer would be like, let me try to see if I could figure it out. My point is there's certain things in real estate, although they all have to be done, I always tell there's certain things that you might not have to do yourself.
Yes.
Is this something like that, or is this like an all-encompassing thing? I mean, you have to be all 100% in on all of these 5 disciplines that you talked about, or is this more of a kind of a, well, I have some health issues, so I really got to level up on the health side. Or I've never given in my life, and I know that's a huge piece, so I got to level up on the giving in the community side. Is this all in, or is this a la carte?
Yeah, and it's really for wherever you are at in your life. For me, it's an all in. Now, does that mean every single day I find a way to give? No, I'm working on it. We're all a work in progress. And for us, it's very important to just step back, reflect, see where you're at. Like when I have people and I go through these coaching sessions, we sit there and I go, what's your mental health at on a 1 to 10? They might go, it's a 4 because of this, this, and this. What would a 10 look like? So it's also goal setting. The goal setting allows you to excel and move towards something because in life, when we're growing, that's when we're happiest and that's when we're most excited.
No,
so it doesn't have to be anything in particular, but as long as you're improving in areas, I think that's where you're going to find the joy.
Now, what got you, you said right before COVID, you did the program with those guys.
Yeah.
What even made you, what made you go down this pathway in the beginning?
Yeah, so in 2019, so I graduated college in 2018. 2019, I got into this mindset of, I'm going to set New Year's goals. And I was like, well, is it New Year's goals? Is it New Year's resolutions? What is it exactly? And what I found is that most people do a New Year's goal, they drop it in the first month, easily. So I set 3 goals for myself. One was to start the CPA, to pass all 4 sections of CPA. One was to start a business, and my third was to run a marathon. And these are they're 3 audacious goals, but I'm like, in a year I can get this done. The CPA, I actually ended up not passing any of the sections. And I've taken them 3 times, but I say that because it's the most important. Failure is okay, as long as we make that decision. I ended up running the Lake Tahoe Marathon at the end of the year in October, which was incredible, and I started this coaching business. Now, the reason we have these goals, so each year I would start new goals. So my 2020 goals was to complete 75 hard. And that's why I wanted to get that done so quickly. And the thing is, if we can trust ourselves, we become more self-confident. The more self-confident we are, the better ability we have to show up in the world, get more deals, get more exposure, get more people to like us, see us for who we really are authentically. So where did this come from? It came from setting goals for myself annually and following through with them.
I love it. I love it. There's sometimes, and I guess just what I was just asking you before, there's certain parts of real estate that are not as critical as others. They could be, subcontracted out and things like that. And sometimes I talk to people and, the conversations we have, I'm like, I could see how somebody would buy in. I could tell you the conversation we're having right now is, I think everybody can benefit from.
Absolutely.
I think everybody could be better in these areas. And there's certain things you don't want to be better in life, right? Let's face it. But there's certain things that you do want to be better in life. And these disciplines that you've talked about, this overall, growth and this overall journey forward, I think it's absolutely essential. Right before this, we recorded a podcast specifically on health.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in that. I personally believe in that and all this. But, as I sit here and talk to you, you're right. It's an all-encompassing thing.
Yeah.
You don't isolate, you embrace. So I appreciate you being here. We're going to tell people how they can contact you. But this is good stuff.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Thanks,
the time.
Jared. Thanks.